You're not exactly sure what you expected Cleopatra's private garden to look like. Maybe something modest, some vines, a fig tree, perhaps a carefully trimmed bush shaped like a sphinx. Instead, you're led through a narrow, jasmine-lined walkway that opens suddenly into a sun-drenched oasis, so full of green it feels audacious. A full botanical kingdom, really, hemmed in by limestone walls and thick with flowers, herbs, and trees that definitely don't belong to this climate. The air is syrupy with scent. You breathe in, immediately overwhelmed. Sweet lemon balm, bitter frankincense, wild basil, honeyed blue lotus, maybe even cinnamon bark. Somewhere, something is definitely flowering that smells suspiciously like freshly baked bread. You're not hungry, but you want to eat the entire garden anyway. A gardener, barefoot, sun-wrinkled, and cheerfully indifferent to your presence, passes by carrying a small clay jar filled with thick green paste. He murmurs something about macerating the oud resin, then disappears behind a curtain of hanging lavender. You spot Cleopatra at the far end of the garden, seated beneath a flowering sycamore fig. She's reading a scroll and gently fanning herself with what appears to be a palm leaf dipped in rosewater. She glances up and waves you forward. "This," she says, gesturing at the lush surroundings, "is my nose's laboratory." It is not modest, it is not subtle, it is, however, impressive. You follow her through a winding path shaded by pomegranate trees and date palms. She stops occasionally to pinch a leaf or stroke the rough bark of a sandalwood sapling. "Imported from the Indus," she says proudly. "Took nearly 2 years to root properly." She sniffs it and shrugs, still shy. Every plant, she explains, has a mood, not just a scent. Jasmine is flirtatious. Myrrh is thoughtful. Papyrus? Papyrus smells like bureaucracy and should not be used in seduction. Ever. As you walk, a small monkey, yes, a monkey, swings overhead carrying what appears to be a pouch of dried herbs. It flings it down and misses the queen's head by a polite 6 inches. "That's for the elephants," she says. "They hate mint, but it keeps the flies off." You nod like this is something you've always known. Historians still debate whether Cleopatra's gardens were purely personal or an extension of statecraft. Some argue they were designed as a space for private rituals and aesthetic pleasure. Others believe they functioned as subtle displays of power. After all, if you can get cinnamon trees to grow in the Egyptian sun, you can probably get Roman generals to sit down and listen. You reach a shady stone bench where small bees hum around a cluster of blue lotus flowers. Cleopatra picks one, crushes it between her fingers, and lifts it to your nose. "This," she says, "is what the gods dream about." You nod again, eyes watering. Fun fact: the blue lotus was mildly psychoactive. Ancient Egyptians used it for everything from religious ceremonies to casual hangouts. It supposedly induced relaxation, mild euphoria, and extremely vivid dreams, some of which featured gods giving out life advice like celestial guidance counselors. You feel a little floaty just from the scent. Cleopatra gestures toward a small clay urn, half buried beneath a flowering shrub. She tells you it contains preserved ambergris, a waxy, strangely valuable substance that comes from the digestive system of sperm whales. It smells like ocean thunder, she says, but only after it's rotted a bit, like good philosophy. You try to look wise. You fail. 2 servants appear with trays of chilled drinks. Yours smells faintly of cardamom and has flower petals floating on top. You sip it cautiously. It tastes like what a perfume bottle might drink if it were parched. Strangely delicious. Cleopatra reclines slightly watching you. "Romans don't understand gardens," she muses. "They plant for order, squares, symmetry. Their plants are obedient. My plants are ambitious." You glance around. She's not wrong. This is less a garden and more a wild theater production. A turtle clambers slowly over a crushed sandalwood branch, entirely unbothered by your presence. A breeze picks up carrying a swirling mix of lavender, cumin, and something sharper, frankincense perhaps, across your face. It's hypnotic, like standing inside a musical chord made of smells. You ask her if she experiments with all of this. Oh, constantly, she says. Every mood needs a blend, every meeting a scent. When I want to be feared, I wear leather soaked in vetiver. When I want to be adored, well? She trails off, smiling. It's said that Cleopatra's perfume preferences changed daily. Some texts suggest she had personal blends for different hours of the day. Others hint that she used scent to disarm rivals, to court allies, even to soothe herself in moments of grief. There's no consensus, but there are stories. One of your favorite details, which you whisper to yourself as you trail behind her again. Some ancient Egyptian perfumes were so thick and sticky they had to be melted before use. People would store them in little cones that sat on top of the head and slowly drip down throughout the day, releasing scent and probably attracting curious insects. You ask bravely if Cleopatra uses the cones. She laughs. Only when I want someone to notice. The sun begins to sink behind the palace walls. The air cools just enough for the scent of the flowers to lift and shift. You notice the night-blooming jasmine beginning to open its petals. Already it's sending out long, soft trails of sweetness. Cleopatra inhales deeply. That, she says, is the perfume of diplomacy. You believe her. A servant announces something in a low tone. The queen nods, rises, and tells you to follow. It's time to see where the magic happens. You expect a throne room. Instead, she leads you toward a stone stairwell shaded by fig leaves and trellised vines. You descend. The temperature drops. The air thickens. Somewhere below, someone is grinding something with intense purpose. You've reached the laboratory.